Okay, gents, really, I've got you all in here. The only person who would be being briefed is Sergeant Matthews, as he is the raid commander. But what I'm going to do is give you all the scenario and the intelligence brief. The remainder of the course then can thin out, and I'll brief you in detail, Sergeant Matthews, on the actual mission you're about to undertake. Okay, the scenario, like all scenarios, is a little unrealistic. However, if you listen in, you'll get the general gist of what's happening. After your recent escape from the notorious Dostand interrogation centre on the mainland of Rangentia, it's been decided by the brigade commander that inside information gained by ML ranks on the centre makes the MNAW Carter personnel the most logical choice to carry out a direct action task against the actual fortress. Intelligence reports indicate that vital information and propaganda material is being transmitted via some sophisticated aerials and radio equipment to their operations centre on the mainland, which is about 300 kilometres away.
The Carter's next assignment is the infiltration and metaphorical destruction of a communications station somewhere in southern England. A mild deterrent is a moat 40 feet deep. Also, here you've got a mass of air photographs. And on the air photographs, I just want to explain to you, within the actual fortress area, the target. The target is a radio mast to which they plan to attach a massive explosive charge. Surprisingly, perhaps, command of the raid is given not to an officer, but a sergeant, George Matthews.
With it being part of the course, obviously there is pressure. You are under pressure for the whole of the course. Whatever you do, failure in this mission will be detrimental to me and to the rest of the guys on the course. So I obviously want it to succeed.
Prior to actually going on your CPR.
Mission. Our mission is to carry out a reconnaissance of Dostand Fort and the route to it, with a view to further operations. Execution. General outline. It will be an operation carried out in 6 phases. Phase 1, the move from here to raiding squadron. Phase 2, the move by rigid raiding craft to the beach. Phase 3. As in everything they do in their dangerous trade, the emphasis is on meticulous planning. I would say that any bit of information you can get from whatever source, reliable or otherwise, is vitally important to you when you consider the plan to carry out your mission. You can't even formulate a plan until you've gathered every little snippet you can. If the farmer across the road lets his dog out at 10 o'clock every night, we want to know about it. If he lets his wife out at 10 o'clock every night, we want to know about it. Any questions on the recce checklist? Weapons. Each man will carry an AR-15 and 4 mags.
The AR-15 is the Armalite, a weapon rarely issued to British forces. It is light and short, distinct virtues when climbing with it. Its chilling notoriety comes from its adoption by IRA terrorists. What attractions has it got for them?
Well, once you split it in half, you take the locking pin out, and you can take these out, and it splits in half. So you can imagine that from there to there is one piece, and then the butt is the second piece. And it fits very nicely underneath a pram, underneath a small child or something. Yeah. And also another reason is that now on a normal weapon like the SLR, when you break it in half, you would destroy the zeroing. But on this weapon, once you break it in half, because the sight, the rear sight and the foresight are on the same bit of weapon, because you're breaking it, you're not going to disrupt the zeroing. Now, it's very easy for terrorists to get hold of the weapon, just join it with that locking pin there, and that's your weapon ready to fire, and you haven't got to zero it again. It's zeroed from the last time.
Does it kill people as well?
Not as well, no. It's got a very high muzzle velocity, and it tends to go straight through people. and it's certainly not got the stopping power that the SLR's got. But it'll make your eyes water.
In daylight, they check out the terrain they must pit themselves against in darkness on successive nights. First on reconnaissance, then in the attack. The cliffs are wet and treacherously crumbling. To lose a foothold here has predictable consequences, as Corporal Rory Dale discovered when he fell 80 feet to an unexpected reunion with his wife.
I was resigned to the fact that it was such a drop anyway, to me it wasn't. I was resigned to the fact that, you know, at the other end I wasn't, well, I was going to be dead, I really thought I was. And when I hit the deck, to my horror, I was still conscious. So, and it was quite painful. I feel the blood filling my lung up. When I rolled onto that side, so I could just fire on one lung. But I just thought, it won't be long now, you know, with the way it was hurt. And I thought, I'm either going to pass out or kiss the world goodbye. But unfortunately, I never lost consciousness at all, so I felt pain all the way back here.
Well, if it was up to me, I'd like him to come off the course, but he wants to stay on there, so I go along with what he thinks. I'm just glad that he's turned out to be lucky. I think for the way that he fell and for the height that he dropped, he's very lucky to be sat in the bed now.
The Marines are to be put ashore by the rigid raider squadron, whose coxswains are equally meticulous in charting their course to the yard. What distinguishes all these Special Forces units from the rest is that even in peacetime, their high-performance training involves perpetual risk.
To be quite honest, you must accept certain risks in the job we do, be they the nature of the job or in some cases a self-inflicted risk by whatever plan you decide upon. Unfortunately, casualties in an operation such as this are almost a certainty, and as such you have to accept the casualties and try and complete the mission.
That night, as they return for their full-scale reconnaissance, the element of playing soldiers has gone. This, by any standards, is a beastly climb. Corporal Craig has been designated to lead it, a man whose career, after earlier botch-ups, is right on the line.
Obviously, as raid commander, I wanted it to be a success, and in that respect, you're maybe willing the guy to do it when really the climbing of the cliff may not be feasible, which is where you then got to draw the line. Am I doing this for my sake to make the raid a success, or is it becoming too dangerous for the guys involved, i.e. the lead climber and the number 2 climber?
The main danger is the lack of reliable footholds. To paraphrase Corporal Dale, the man who fell off in daylight, it looks horrific.
I must admit it does from here. It's giving me a few kittens. However, don't forget, we're looking at a fairly blank bit of wall. The covings in itself is not too bad. The rock is friable, but it's only about grade VDiff. That is the most we ask them to lead at night, unseen VDiff. And that's what it is. But for a young ML2, it's a fairly horrific experience to get out there and to have to lead it. And he's going to be pretty sure of himself. He's done about 40 foot of climbing, and he's got his earth axes out now. And I think he might have even put his crampons on to help him get up the steep earth and up to the top. But he'll know he's done it once he gets there.
You're feeling confident nonetheless?
I'm always confident. Cut.
The rock was just falling apart. There was loads of it. I was digging away the earth, pulling tufts away and digging away the earth just to find handholds underneath on the rock. And even then they were just flaking away.
But the reconnaissance succeeds. They scaled the cliff, remained undetected as they checked out the fortress's defences, and by 1 AM are home for tea.
No, he's in his locker. And he's Dick's.
Much of the credit goes to Corporal Craig, a man almost uncomfortable with praise.
What do you think of it? So you climbed it very well.
It was a difficult climb. The main problem was the no protection.
Yeah, so it all dropped out, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the two
The
that
rock was
hammered
just
in.
falling apart.
The original plan was I was going to climb the rock band, and Corporal Dix was going to climb through me and climb the steep earth. I was going to belay on, but there's nowhere to belay on because all it was just earth on top of the rock, and I couldn't get the earth hammers in very well. That's where all the sparks were coming from. I managed to get a small rock in, which I hammered in with the hammer, but that slips out as I climbed past. And further on I got a seagull basher in, which I had to hammer in again, and that as well come out.
Yeah,
And that was
we're having a few kittens.
just a few.
However.
Once again, I'd said in the orders that it was going to be a reasonably, I wouldn't say off the cuff, but the route itself was difficult to plan because we didn't have air photographs and the map was very sketchy. So as I said, we're going to pick the route on the way.
At 2 a.m, they're still collating the information they brought back, right down to the nocturnal comportment of the local cows.
Cows are quite timid.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. They're not very skitterish. We actually went through a field of bovine and they didn't bolt for the fence. Yes, cows. Very valid point. Right, cows, docile. Right, here we go. Get down to the business. Conclusions and recommendations on the mission. The mission, what do you think the mission itself? Feasible, I would say. Very feasible.
Most don't go to bed at all. Fueled by adrenaline, they work on their scale model to assess the more vulnerable points of their target, which just happens to be a genuine link in the NATO communications chain.
Situation. Enemy forces. Once again, there's no change in the enemy forces situation. We had no contact with the enemy last night on the reconnaissance. However, there was a Land Rover patrol out, thought to be 2 men within the vehicle. So they are patrolling in Land Rovers, that's confirmed. No guards were seen patrolling the ramparts. Has anyone any problems on the situation enemy forces paragraph?
An innocent scrap of polystyrene, a small trick of the trade. They left it here beneath the outer ramparts of the moat during their reconnaissance. It marks what they judge to be the safest line of approach.
My boat will lay off in the Oggin. They'll just lay off and allow this boat, if you could do the honours, Russ, to come into the cove. That's the beach party's boat. Put, into the cove. Okay, there should be a beach tonight because of the timings, putting back the timings, or even if it's just a small one, there will be a beach.
At last, the real test. The raiding party comprises 13 Marines, and who better to lead them up the initial cliff face again than the virtually reincarnated Corporal Craig. So, for the second time in under 24 hours, Craig edges his way upwards in darkness. These pictures are caught by image intensifier.
A lot of the time he was out of my view, and all I could hear was the grunting and groaning, if you like. He's the sort of guy who would try, and the first you'd know that he had failed to climb the cliff would be when he landed in your lap.
Their next problem, since the defenders also have image intensifiers, is in covering open ground. It is here that they adapt their camouflage training skillfully, using a dark background of undergrowth as a blind. Unlike war, in which surprise is the most potent of weapons, their biggest disadvantage is the defenders know they're coming. All they don't know is the precise hour or from which direction. After the cliff face, the moat is child's play.
A lot of time is spent prior to giving your orders on contingency plans for all eventualities. Everything to the most minute detail must be covered. If everything goes fine, then great, all you've done is wasted a few hours and some paper. If everything doesn't go to plan, then at least everyone is sure in their own mind what is going to happen should something go wrong.
The 2 wandering sentries think they've spotted a light somewhere around close to the mast. So what we intend to do is to stand the guard to, send one of the vehicles through on a normal patrol sweep to have a closer look at it, and possibly send 2 of the sentries around to take a more detailed search of the area of the mast. If we strike something, then we might get a bit of action. If they don't initiate it, we will.
You've got to think from an enemy's point of view what could be the most effective. And rather than do what the enemy suspect you of doing, you do something totally different.
Have they done something different? Have they come and gone? Not only have they outwitted the defenders, their own instructors, they've also made monkeys out of a BBC camera team. We waited 4 hours to film them actually planting this dummy charge, and saw nothing but stars.
4:30 in the morning. And here we are, the charge is on not one but 2 of the masts. Tell me first of all, how many people have you had out patrolling tonight?
Well, we've had a total of 12 on the ground, including the drivers who have been doing the mobile patrols. Sentries working around at half-hour intervals, 2 at a time, and taking quite a good look at the area. So, as you can see with the charges being laid, the raiding force, the 2's course, have done very well indeed. We don't know how long they've been here. By chance the sentries have found the charges, and we have seen neither hide nor hair of them. They could have been gone for hours. These assimilated charges will obviously be on a timing device, and for all we know, they could be back in their base camp having breakfast, and these have been blown. And the first thing we would have known was the explosions. They've done very well indeed.
I'm just putting my feet on this. They've had to cross 40 yards of that and they didn't make a sound.
Not that we found out. But what they could have done, they can use a lot of other noise. Aircraft flying over, the Land Rover actually moving. Probably the best time for them to come and put the charge was actually when the Land Rover's passed. A lot of gravel noise from the wheels. They just scoot out behind it. Once it's gone past, put them on then and bug out again. Plus they may have lain up for a while watching the sentry routine, which is the normal thing again you would try and do.
So, good effort, Bill.
Excellent effort. Done very well indeed.
There was no question of them recreating their moment of triumph for television. Like the magic circle, the mountain and Arctic warfare cadre are reticent about revealing their tricks. And anyway, they weren't totally satisfied.
Well, I wouldn't say a total success. It didn't work out quite as we planned. As he talked to Andy, he had epics with the grapnel idea, which wasn't his fault. It wasn't. The idea was sound. It was just a trick that wasn't sound. But all in all, the guys worked bloody hard, and there it is. We did a good recce, got all the relevant information. The guys, you don't need to motivate guys like this. They're tremendous workers. And we've just seen the work they put in on things like the model. I mean, you're not going to get that anywhere else, except a bunch of guys like this. And it all paid off. Normally, it just wouldn't happen this quickly. You wouldn't do a recce the night before and then hastily crawl out your bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, having had 3 hours sleep, and write a new set of orders for a complete night raid. But if you can do it under stress, when you're tired and when you've just had a hard spell of graft, then you can do it anytime, really. And that's the idea of the training. It's supposed to be hard.
There's a lot of pressure on you, because you know if I couldn't have got up there, then the whole operation wouldn't have been knackered. Or it has certainly been slowed down for a while. Say I'd fell off or I just refused to go. This morning I was having second thoughts about whether I was going to do the climb tonight. I said to Andy this morning, I says, if I get to the rock face tonight, and I says it sank me out, because it was quite difficult last night. I said, if it sank me out, you're going to have to climb. And he said, fair enough, which meant we'd have had to change equipment round, and he'd have had to lead it. But as it turned out, when we got to the rock face, I felt all right. So I went and did it again.
I'm trying to make my mind up whether he's just a damn good climber or whether he's on drugs.
Where is he?
He's bombed out. I tell you, the man knows no fear. To free it all the way, no protection or anything. I mean, one slip and that's it, you know. Bring him home in a bloody plastic bag. But he's incredible.
Well, I'm not on drugs, and I'm not totally fearless, because when I went in tonight, I was, for choice of a better word, I was shitting myself after last night. I'm only human.
Go straight across the track. It is, when all's said and done, a very small part in a very large, condensed course. And there isn't the time for pats on the back and self-congratulations, no matter how well it went. Tomorrow morning, one of the other guys will be in charge, and I'll be the man in the ranks trying to support him.
Four days later, and after 5 months of preparatory training, the Arctic Marines get their first glimpse of snow in central Norway. The temperature, minus 14 degrees centigrade.
Use your poles.
This amusing little diversion is to teach a man how to survive if he falls through the ice. For obvious reasons, it's the first thing they learn in their new environment.
Keep Bergen out. Bergen out. Bergen.
Bergen, Jim.
Bergen, Jim.
That's it, do it.
It's all right, well done. Keep going. Go on, Jim. Left hand, Jim.
Come on, Jim, fight it.
Jim, try to get your Bergen out.
He's pulling me back in.
Keep Bergen out.
Now get your other ski pole. Now use both.
The dash to get dry is vital. By Arctic standards, 14 below is a balmy spring day, but a man soaked to the skin wouldn't survive for long. The locals don't risk it.
Leg kicks in, she's raised. And out, together. And out, it's cold, eh? Together. You gotta be careful you don't do this too long. Foot support position, place. The backside's getting cold, drop about quickly, and bend. And stretch, and bend. And stretch. And bend. And stretch. Tops on. That gives everyone now then. If you take it on my feeling, oh, it's not that bad, the old snow. Don't worry about it.
starts getting a bit of confidence. You can do this with your companies. 10 seconds, get your kit on, go.
If it all suggests a return to the cold bath ethic of the English public school, the illusion is shattered by the cheerful depravity of their marching songs. Delicate ladies may wish to close their ears.
George.
She said, Marie, tease me. I put my hand upon her knee. She said, Marie, you're teasing me. I put my head between her thighs. She said, Marie, you're way too high. I put my head between her thighs. She said, Marie, you're way too high. The way he was.
Don't come back down, it's anything about coming back down. I just said to the top of the slope, go.
Swallow dive.
Just a bit of my loyalty to you, off top. Off top, quickly.
Don't cross us on.
Oh. Was that more touch, was it?
Oh, don't cross us on.
Oh. Sounded touch.
We're minus 14, so get your toe cool, all right.
We've got a nice straight line to the top. I want you to repeat after me. What we are about to receive. We are truly grateful. Before we roll down the slope.
What up? Yeah! What up?
As viewers of earlier programmes may recall, the cadre on occasions are no great respecters of rank. Not for the first time, Sergeant Mac McLean gets the full treatment.
1, 2. Thank you, boys. 3.
Let's go.
Try and quickly get yourselves inside. Fall in 9 o'clock down the bottom.
So, the Icemen have finally arrived. Next week, more winter sports of a baroque nature, and back to square one for Corporal Craig.